Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy. I work in Statistics. We are based in San Francisco, California. Today, I'm going to give a presentation on data science and user acquisition. So here we go. This is a pre-recorded session, and I'm not able to have an interactive session with everyone, but I'll be happy to communicate on emails, and I will share my email at the end of this session. So let me share my screen right now. Let's get started. Here we go. So today I'm going to give a case study on the value-based bidding on Facebook and Google. What does that mean and how we can measure the impact we will talk about in this session. So first, I want to give a quick introduction to myself. I'm a manager on the channel optimization team in Stitch Fix, and previously I was in Uber and Amazon. Here is the agenda, what we are going to talk about today. We are going to talk about marketing and data science. I will give an overview of my team and what projects we are working on, and then we will look at an example on the maximization of the user value in our user acquisition. Most importantly, I would share our challenges and methods in the company. And also I will talk about the practice and the data pipelines at the end of the session, if time permits. So here is the overview. For user acquisition, meaning we are going to get more customers from different channels. We have online channels, we have offline channels. Online channels are like Facebook, Google, SEM means search engine, and also display ads on Google and many other providers. For offline, it's more traditional. For example, like direct mails. We are sending mails to our potential customers, or we are providing the contents on the TV and other networks, for example, like Hulu or many other advertisers that use content delivery. On our side, we are data science team. We call ourselves algo, meaning algorithms. We have optimization, we have prediction, we have A/B testing, we have classification, NLP, and other methods on the team. So today, we are not going to talk about everything, but focus on small subset, which is user acquisition strategies. We focus on Facebook and Google because they are the largest channels we are using. And also, they have a very strong and solid methodologies using data science. I will explain in later slides. So first question many of you may already have is, are we going to optimize customer value or are we going to optimize conversions from the new user acquisition? For example, like if you are a small business owner, you want to have more customers joining your as your users. You want to have more users just click and browse, or you want them to pay and pay a lot of money. Like, what is your objective? That's the number one question for our advertisers, including myself, like Stitch Fix as an advertiser. Here, we talk about the basic mechanism of how we are going to acquire our new customers through website. Like you see, we have visitors, meaning they are visiting Facebook, for example. They click on an ad on Facebook, which is our ad. And then they go into our website and they become a customer after sign up. So this is the process of our user acquisition from online channels. The question we have talked about is the more conversions, the better. Is that true? Actually, it's not true on our website for our business, because we want our customer to actually buy and pay to us rather than just click. Because each click, we pay Facebook. For example, they click on an ad and we pay Facebook based on how many clicks those visitors already clicked. We care about return. Here, return means number of conversions, dollar values, awareness, product adoption, customer satisfaction. We have so many metrics that can measure return. And also we have costs. Like I mentioned, cost per acquisition, dollar value we pay to Facebook, the time costs, marketing promotions, delivery, because we are doing online styling services, we deliver our clothes to our users, and also many other operation costs. Okay, we talk about return and costs, then we focus on efficiency. Efficiency basically measures the effectiveness of our channels. Here we have two objective metrics. One is maximize conversion, numbers, how many new users coming to our website. The second metric is dollar value, which is revenue. You see, like for different objectives, we have different definition of each category. For example, like targeting audience, college students, or even younger students, they are probably not the best customers we want to reach out to because they don't have buying power. Instead, we want to focus on people who already have a very stable jobs with a very specific need of the clothing. So in this case, I will ask the question like, in your business, what is your objective? Are you going to have more customers, or are you focused on a specific cohort of the new users, which will bring in a lot of money? Let's leave that question for a moment. Let's look at the metrics we're observing under each column. If we are going to measure the conversions, we focus on number of new signups or number of new purchases. In this case, the number of new signups and number of new purchases are equivalent in our business because they have to pay or leave the credit card information as part of the sign-up process. And in the second column, if we want to measure dollar value, we are looking at the 3 months revenue. 3 months meaning from the signed up day one to the next 3 months. And on the costs, we focus on, in this case, we focus on acquisition costs. However, we are not going to measure other costs in our efficiency because our cost is just for acquisition costs, just for simplicity. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to give another overview of the goal of our project. The goal is to measure the performance of the value bidding. The case study is on Facebook and Google. The question is, if you are not sure which one works better, conversion or value bidding, we are going to measure it. And to measure that, we need to have a model to model the customer value and then run the A/B tests. So that's the process we are going to talk about today. However, let's go back to the question, more conversions versus more dollar value. That's the question, key question we focus. Okay, let's compare the two options. The first option is, given a budget, let's say $1 million, we want to maximize the number of new customers versus given the same budget, we want to maximize the dollar amount of the user value, 3 months revenue in this case. Okay, I'm going to give a step-by-step guide to use customer value in the value bidding on Facebook and Google. So first of all is why we are using Google and Facebook. The simple answer is they are able to do that. This is a very new strategies. You see, Facebook started in 2017, and Google followed and started in 2019. The idea is, given a budget, our company or many other advertisers, they can maximize the dollar value from the new users given a budget on the Google or Facebook. So I leave this page here. I'm not going to go over everything because it's too much detail, but just in case you wanted to refer to this information later. What we are going to talk about is the pros and cons of the value bidding. Like I said, one of the objectives is to maximize the total value using the bidding strategies. However, the cons is the bidding strategies or the bid itself is a black box to you. We are not able to know how Facebook or Google choose the users with high value and low value. It's their decisions. For example, we believe, this is just like a fake number. We believe a person, let's say Mike lives in New York. He's a manager in a tech firm. And we believe people like Mike is very valuable. However, if Facebook or Google came up like, okay, we don't think people like Mike is valuable, they wouldn't share why. We wouldn't never know. So that's a big cons. So we need to have a lot of conversation with Google and Facebook almost like every week. Like, what do you think about people like Mike? What do you think about other people or other cohorts of the users that could be a potential opportunity for us? We need to communicate with Google and Facebook. We need to understand how their data are used, how their models are being developed. And if there are anything wrong with data pipeline or with data quality issues, we need to know immediately. We don't want Facebook Google's model to be a 100% black box. We need to communicate. Okay, let's go to the next page. This is about customer value definition. So in our definition, we have 3 core questions: how to define customer, how to define lifetime, and how to define value. So in our case, the customer means they signed up and also they schedule delivery. So that's how we define customer. How to define lifetime? Like I mentioned earlier, we look at 3 months revenue. 3 months is the lifetime we are going to measure. And how to define value? Dollar value. So that's our 3 key information in our customer value definition. Here are some practical questions on the CLV or customer lifetime value. Question 1 is, are we focused on new users or existing users? We focus on new users. Second question, are we going to predict the CLV for each of the user or for a cohort? This is a very data science question. Facebook and Google will ask you that because they will configure their setup and communicate with their engineering team. In our case, we focus on user LTV. Basically, we predict the LTV for each of the users rather than looking at them in a cohort. Some other setups as the question 3, we have 3 months revenue. We build a machine learning model to predict that within stage fix. So we share these values through a pipeline called server to server, meaning Stitch Fix server, our company server, sending to Facebook or Google server. So this is a communication of data. And then lastly, we have a setup for A/B test or geo test, because at the time of now, Google doesn't support A/B test at the user level for our customer value bidding. However, Facebook supports A/B test at the user level for our user bidding. So between Google and Facebook, there are many differences. And if you work or started with Google first, you have to learn a lot of differences from Facebook and vice versa. So I want to tell you, like, in practice, if you are working with 2 or more than 2 platforms at one time, make sure your data science team knows the difference. And the more notes on practice is enhanced conversion on Google. This is a very new product on Google. The purpose is to improve the conversion accuracy measurement by sending the first-party data from Stitch Fix to Google. Why I'm using enhanced conversion? Because I wanted to have more matched conversions. So this is the very important feature on Google. I recommend you, if you are working with Google, ask them about enhanced conversion. The secondly is more on the measurement, is called modeled conversion on Google. As you know, we have a lot of limitations recently, especially after Apple has the iOS 14 update. But other than that, we still have some third-party limitation on Safari and Firefox. If we are not able to measure or get the conversion data from those servers or browsers, Google offered an estimate on the conversions. This is called model conversion. For example, you have 100 new users, but because of data loss on browsers or on Apple, we only can measure maybe 50 or 60. So Google will tell us, okay, Jeremy, it's not 50 or 60. Based on our estimation, probably you have 102 to 105. Even it's not true, but it's get closer and more accurate. That's how we use modeled conversion. And similarly, Facebook has something called advanced matching, which is to use some features or attributes of the users to match the Facebook accounts. For example, like we have 200 conversions, but we don't know like how many are Facebook users. We share some information with Facebook. They can do a matching, which is advanced matching. However, again, this is a black box. We never know how their models works. Just like model conversions, we never know how that works. We need to communicate with Google and Facebook and ask them the confidence. Cool. This is like side note on more practice on value bidding. This is the last page of the presentation, which shows the workflow of how we're using value bidding and how we are measure the performance of value bidding. I would keep this page here and do a very quick step-by-step conversation with you. So if you look at the left, it's labeled as greens, meaning we are working on that within Stitch Fix. In the middle, it's a black-white colors, meaning it's a black box to us. So we don't know how that works on Google and Facebook. We only get the results from their dashboard or data pipelines. Like you see on the left, we need to build a data ETL to get the data from our website or from our app or from our database to clean the data, aggregate the data, and train the model for customer value. And then we send this value and the customer information the customer information, basically the unique ID of our customers, and send it to Facebook and Google. Just like I said earlier, we believe people like Mike live in New York, is a tech manager, he is potentially a high value customer. We send this information to Facebook and Google. And then in the middle, Facebook and Google take the information, Mike, okay, they will find people who are similar to Mike, meaning like, okay, people from New York, people who are doing manager in IT or tech, they will look at it like, okay, are these high value customer or low value customer? They will do a conversion probability and as the expectation of the value, the two-step models. Like I said, in the second, predict the conversion rates. And then the second step is predict the value. And then they decide the bid for this person. Like this is the bidding engine, not the value bidding, but overall, like how much money Facebook, StageFix should pay to Facebook or Google. Okay, if we offer like $5 per click, but our competitor offer like $4 per click, we win. StageFix wins the auction. However, we pay this something like second price auction. Facebook and Google, they have varied second price bidding strategies, but the idea is we pay the price, but not the highest price. Once we have all this information from Facebook and Google, we have a dashboard like comparing the two bidding, like value bidding versus conversion versus the conversion bidding. We compare the difference. So from our current running tests, we see conversion versus value bidding. We see the very initial results from last November, and also we see some early results in this by the time of now. So our conclusion is conversion bidding or value bidding, they have showing different, very different performance. On Google and Facebook, we see if we are doing value bidding, it's much better than conversion bidding in terms of the dollar value. However, in terms of the number of CPA, CPA means cost per acquisition, we don't see conclusive results. However, we do see that the CPA is decreased using value bidding. So that's a very good evidence, like conversion value, the value bidding has a lot of potential in the future. It can bring us more money, but also decrease the costs. I would recommend continuing running value bidding on Facebook and Google if you wanted to acquire customers with high value. But also I would recommend if you are focused on conversion numbers, like how many new users you want to acquire, forget about value bidding, because value bidding will have a decreased number of new conversions. That's also happening. And also, I believe your Facebook and Google team will give you a warning about that. Lastly, I want to see this value bidding is very new. And the Google and Facebook teams, they are doing a very good job introducing this methodology to you and communicating with you on different issues or different new updates. I would recommend document all those questions and updates and keep the communication transparent and easy. Thank you very much for your time today. And I'll be happy to communicate with you on emails. This is my email, jeremygu@stagefix.com. And thank you very much for your time today. I know we have about 5 minutes left. Usually I will have like Q&A for 5 minutes, but I'm sorry, this is a record session. And again, thanks for your time and thanks for organizing the events. Hope you are enjoying other presentations of the day. Thank you.